What's up, everyone? It's your boy NornRad89 here to talk about everything the Batman. This is our spoiler chat for the new Batman film. First off, just right off the bat, I want to give a hand to Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves, Zoe Kravitz, everybody that was involved in this film, because it is a glorious film and easily one of the best Batman stories that we've ever seen portrayed on live action film. So let's get down to this. This is going to be my spoiler chat. So, of course, that's a spoiler warning. So, if you haven't seen this film, like I said, I highly recommend checking it out because I have a review for it and I gave it a badass positive review. So, go check out the film and then come back and watch this video so we can chat about it. So, The Batman is a down and dirty, gritty detective story, a very film noir type story. And, like I said, this is probably the most Batman-esque film that we've ever gotten. It's the most focused on Bruce Wayne and Batman. It has a lot of ties to do, like the story in general, to do with his family, his father, his mother, him. So he's highly involved in all aspects of this movie, which is a lot different from a lot of the other films because there's like a good chunk of Batman films that the villains are more highly prominent in the film and more important than Batman is. And in this film, we are about 2 years into the Batman project, and he has to tackle a new villain, the Riddler, who is leaving him clues and killing, murdering people and leaving him clues for the Batman to solve. So it's definitely a new villain for him to get used to, you know what I mean? For him to grow, because this is only 2 years as Batman. So Robert Pattinson's Batman is still learning, to be the Batman, what's effective and what's not, and all that kind of stuff, testing out gadgets and everything like that. And you can easily tell, too, that he's not sure how to balance the Bruce Wayne Batman aspect of his life because that's something that's a more mature style Batman knows is how he's able to balance that philanthropy style of Bruce Wayne and the vigilante style of Batman. And you can see Robert Pattinson's not there yet because he's still in the early stages of his Batman project. Another thing I said in my Rad movie review, or my review for this film, is that I like the fact that it's a Batman and Jim Gordon centered storyline. It's very centered between them, kind of almost a buddy cop aspect, and I like that for sure. You really get to see their relationship develop and how they trust each other. And we're already to a point where Gordon does trust him and Batman trusts him, but they're still learning and growing. And there's some kind of cool quippy one-liners and jokes. Like one of my favorites is when Batman's telling Gordon like no guns, and Gordon like looks at him and he's like, "Yo, man, that's your thing, man." Like it's just funny little quippy one-liners. Like it's not hilarious comedy moments that take away from the movie, but it's realistic, and that's what I like too is the dialogue. I actually turned to my wife and said that to her during the film when we were watching it. I was like, the dialogue in this is really good. I like it because it felt realistic. Like the characters, all those characters felt like they would say something of that nature in the moment or whatever was happening. So I really, like I said, was fascinated with the fact that the script, like I said, was very realistic, even though we're dealing with vigilantes and, crazy criminals and kind of out of the world stuff, but not really because it is still a grounded take. But, it has a comic elements to it. It's very comic book, what do I want to say? To the nature of the comics, it's very homage and honors that, but it is a very grounded take where you can see this being a real life city and real stuff like this going on. Now let's get on to the cast and talk about them real quick. Robert Pattinson, I think, did a slam dunk job for this movie for what him and Matt Reeves were going for. I think he delivered perfectly on the role. Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman was a great addition to the movie as well, helping Bruce Wayne along with his little case and everything, and she has an emotional investment in the case too because her friend's involved, so she's also emotionally involved. Plus we find out in this movie they go with the route of having the Catwoman being the daughter of Carmine, so that it's a very emotionally and family tied movie for her too. So that's what's kind of cool is like all the characters in this film have something to do with the story and they serve a purpose and they push the story forward in a good fashion. Then we have to talk about the slam dunk. My favorite actor and part of this film was Paul Dano's Riddler. I really do love Robert Pattinson's Batman. He was badass and he's in the film a lot. Like I said, it focuses on him, but Paul Dano's Riddler is probably my favorite part of this movie. I knew he was going to do a slam dunk job, but I was just so interested and intrigued to see what he was going to do with the role. And oh man, it's just so good. Like he chews up every scene that he's in. And he's not in a ton. He's not in it a ton. He's in it the least amount out of every actor cast member on this list, I think. But he delivers every moment he is on screen. He chews up the scenery. Like I wanted to talk. I didn't want to say it in my spoilers or my non-spoiler review because I didn't want to mess up anything. But my favorite scene in the movie is when Batman confronts him at Arkham for the first time, and face to face seeing the Riddler, and he has the glasses and they're talking through the stained glass and all that stuff. Like, oh man, and he kind of goes on how, like, talking to Batman, how we did this together, man. Like, you taught me how to do this. Like, I couldn't do this. You're brute strength and I'm the brains. Like, it was that moment, that scene is probably one of the greatest scenes that we've ever had in a Batman movie, period. My second favorite scene in the film, because we're talking about scenes right now, we're just kind of rambling because this is just a love for the Batman movie film spoiler chat that we're doing right now. My second favorite scene in the film is when we get to see Robert Pattinson use the car, the Batmobile. Oh, when he revs that engine and starts the car up and you see it, and like everybody's looking over there like, what the, because he kind of goes missing for a second during this battle sequence, and then he gets on the chase with Penguin. Oh man, once he starts revving up that engine and the car gets going and we get into that chase scene with him and Penguin, it's probably one of the most intense, best chase scenes that we've ever had in like any movie. Like, it's got some really good tight shots, the colorization and the stunt work, the stunt driving, muy bueno. Also, what I'm enjoying about this film is it definitely went the route of having a good pace. It's slow, but I enjoyed it because it felt what the story deserved, what they were going for, what Matt Reeves wanted. This detective noir story, this pacing fits the film perfectly. And I know it's not going to be for everybody, because it's, surprisingly enough, like when we were sitting in the theater, it was a packed house. Like, it was packed, but I looked around like a couple times, and like there was a few couples, like, or a few people that actually stood up, got up, and they left and never came back. And that was probably like about 2 hours and 10 minutes into the movie, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's still stuff going on, guys. Like, what are you doing? So like, I can definitely tell that it's pacing wise and length wise, it's not gonna be for everybody. But man, if you're a huge fan of Batman and you've always wanted to see Batman in a gritty detective noir story and really get to see him use his smarts and see him evolve and really, change in the movie, this is the movie for you, for real. Because there's been Batman movies where there's not a lot of character development for Batman, and in this one you can clearly see by the time we get to the ending scene and he's helping the lady onto the stretcher with the National Guards and stuff, after we have Riddler's plan finally ensues, and the bombs go off and Gotham starts to flood, and then Batman realizes that it's more than just instilling fear and vengeance and all that kind of stuff, that you can actually have positive sides, you can have hope, and you can do things that are better, you know what I mean? So he finally decides to just kind of like, oh, I'm done fighting this guy and the Riddler and all these people. Like, I'm just going to start helping people who are drowning and saving children and saving, men and women that are hurt or trapped. Like, it really has a good arc for Batman throughout the whole film, and I like that. And one thing I could say though is Andy Serkis. I wish he was in it a little bit more. His Alfred. There is a reason he's taken out of the film and why he's not in it that much. But yeah, I really wish he was in it a lot more, because I like Andy Serkis as an actor. He's just the bomb. But yeah, I think what Matt Reeves and them wanted to do for this film, it was a slam dunk. Like, even when I watched the fan trailer reactions. I've been going back and watching them after I've seen this film already, and oh man, like, just to watch people's reaction and to see how happy they were, and to see that most of those people are pretty happy with how the film turned out. Like, now, it's a very exciting thing to be at this time, where this film, especially for the DC world, and I hope they keep it as its own solo thing and don't try to meddle with it and bring in, like, Superman or the Justice League or anything like that. I think this really needs to just stay a Batman universe type thing, and then we go into the sequel and then the third film. But we're also going to be getting some TV shows on HBO Max too. I heard we're going to be getting Gotham PD and a Penguin TV show that are going to be coinciding with the two films that we're going to be getting after this one, apparently. So I'm excited to see those, because I'll be down to see it if it's on HBO Max and they're able to keep the rawness and grittiness of the Matt Reeves film that we just saw. I'm definitely going to be down to see it. So for sure. And I'm so happy, like I said, with that little teaser scene we got in the Arkham, asylum place. That was kind of our little teaser with the Riddler talking to, I can't remember his name, but I think it's Barry Keegan. Barry Keegan, I think that's how you say his name, the actor. But he was in Eternals, and oh man, supposedly he's gonna be a very early version of the Joker, or we'll see. Like maybe it's gonna be kind of, we're gonna get to see like Jack Nicholson, the creation of the Joker, because it's a very young Robert Pattinson. Maybe he's gonna be responsible for how the Joker ends up turning out. So there's a lot of potential for where this franchise can go now, especially with Matt Reeves at the creative helm of the spot. And there's so many other good aspects of this movie. Like I said, all the actors across the board, the story, everything, the cinematography, the action, it's very rich and it's very comic graphic novel esque. And I think Batman lovers around the world are going to be happy. This is easily, like I said, in my top three of the Batman films. Like of all the ones we've had, this is easily in the top three for sure, because this is like the one kind of one where I can see maybe possibly they push the bounds, because this is a hard PG-13 film where they can push the bounds and possibly do like an R-rated cut or an unrated cut kind of thing when the films come out and stuff like that. Because oh man, it's just very raw, very realistic, gritty, dirty, grimy, and I like that because it feels like a real Gotham, like a characteristic Gotham. And we didn't really get that in the Christopher Nolan ones. That's one thing I can say about his films, is the Gotham in his movies wasn't really that characteristic like we have seen in the Burton films or the Schumacher films. And I think Matt Reeves kind of good got that balance right, where he did a grounded, realistic version of Batman, but still had good characteristics and unfathomable kind of comic graphic novel stuff going on. So thanks for sticking around with me all for this spoiler chat of the Batman, talking, like I said, everything the Batman. It was a badass movie. Like I said, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. The only reason I could probably say it's not going to be that, I gotta watch it a couple more times, see, feel my love for it. Like I said, it could possibly climb to that a 10, a slam dunk, perfect movie. But we'll see. Hopefully we're gonna get to see it a couple more times, and I'll let you all know. Thanks for sticking around with me all. And as I said, in the comment section, let me know what you thought of it. What were some of your favorite parts? Because this is the spoiler chat video, so don't worry about it. In the comments, you can talk about what are some of your favorite parts and all that kind of stuff from the new Batman film. Thanks for sticking around, y'all. Have a safe and happy day. Peace out.